Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Licensed to Roma, where I'll be providing content on football tactics and analysis on European football and the beautiful game from across the globe. You can follow me on Twitter/X at Edward Stratman. And if you enjoy the video, would really appreciate a like, subscribe, and any comments as I get started and hope to grow the channel. Right, for this analysis, I'll be focusing on De Rossi's successful AS Roma managerial debut, and particularly the build-up mechanics and offensive tactics, which really caught the eye. Obviously, De Rossi's excellent managerial debut for his beloved Roma was really a high point for the club after Mourinho's high-profile departure, as the former Giallorossi legend led his team to a crucial 2-1 victory over struggling Verona in front of a pumping home crowd at the Stadio Olimpico. Taking over the reins from Mourinho, as mentioned, there were many positives to be extracted from this one, which came especially in the form of their build-up structure and mechanics in possession. While he named a 4-3-2-1 formation on paper and defended with a back four that mostly took the form of a 4-1-4-1 or a 4-4-2, offensively they began with what was ostensibly a 3-4-2-1, 3-box, 3 shape, or a 3-diamond 3 shape, with that midfield the key area in the box or the diamond, which was particularly interesting. Obviously then Dybala was taken off in the second half. A few tweaks were then made, but in this structure that I've just talked about, it was really interesting to see how they worked, manipulated space and just managed possession quite nicely to progress up the field. Obviously, as you can see in the first graphic there, that was the shape that was initially given on the team sheet, which obviously looked a fair bit different, especially in offense, which we're about to see now. As you look at the graphic now, that was the base shape. Obviously, the back three with Spinazzola forming the back three on the left there. And then in midfield, you've got Paredes and Bove as the two deeper midfielders, and then Pellegrini and Dybala as essentially acting as two tens. And obviously, Karsdorp would push up on the right. El Shaarawy would basically play as a left winger, and then Lukaku was the central striker reference point for a lot of what was going on here. And as you can see in the next one, they were able to form some really nice overloads, as Paredes is doing there. They've obviously got 5v4 going there, and they can progress the attack nicely with some nice connections there to move the defense and then make their way up the field. Here's another example here. Just you notice how the wide forwards and Lukaku, they pin their markers back, and then with Verona pressing with that front three that they would sort of morph into, it sort of left those midfield areas to be overloaded and for some nice angles to be created, and which we'll touch on later with those four midfielders having that close proximity. They could combine quite smartly too. And that's sort of an average position map that just sort of shows what I'm talking about. While they were a back four on paper, it really wasn't that. It was much different to that, especially in that section with Dybala on the field. There's a pass combinations network graphic that just sort of shows that base three structure, which is a pretty cool thing De Rossi's introduced. Obviously, they played with a back three. Some of the things that he did was really interesting to get Roma playing in a really positive and a bit more progressive way, where they controlled the ball and dictated the tempo a lot more than they have done in the past. So there's another example with Paredes being the free man. They've got a 6v5 there. Really smartly done. The midfielders are drawing their markers, and it just leaves that room for Paredes to sneak in there and to progress the ball with some room to turn. Same again here, where he's just forming the free man. Obviously, Verona's trying to do a good job of blocking the passing lane to him there, but they eventually found him to progress the attacks and spread the play. Another situation here where it's taken on more of a diamond form, which was mentioned earlier, just to create those angles and to work that staggering to eventually find the free man in Dybala, who's got that nice room in front of the back line, who are pinning their markers, who don't want to step out as they're wary to leave space in behind. So once again, that structure just makes for some really quick combination play in that close proximity. Another one here with Dybala acting as just a sole 10 in the diamond, essentially there, and how they've tilted to that side of the pitch and opened up a nice passing lane for him to once again turn, having scan, and face the defence and embark on one of his typical driving dribbles, as the forwards can then make their runs and pin their own markers against the retreating backline to give him even more space. Obviously, there's Dybala again. He was obviously a very key piece in this. He had a lot of freedom to drift wide and do various things and just to make himself involved, because he's such a dangerous player, so clever on and off the ball. Particularly interesting one here with Dybala and Karsdorp interchanging to add a bit of variety, allowing Karsdorp to underlap, and obviously letting Dybala to drift wide to enjoy more time and space on the ball to sort of execute his actions and open up the field of play to use his wizardry in less populated zones. There's obviously Dybala's heat map just showing that he had that freedom to sort of venture all over the pitch. Some other interesting mechanics that we saw was a lot of rotation. Obviously, we've touched on the Dybala Karsdorp one there, and also there's one here which is quite interesting, where Pellegrini's dropped into form a back three. That's given Spinazzola the freedom to push up.
Not worried.
He's obviously rotated infield, for he's acting as a number 10 in this graphic here. So they just did a pretty good job of keeping Verona guessing, always altering reference points and just causing a lot of confusion, which opened up spaces and allowed them to manipulate the back line. Here's another nice tweak here with Karsdorp rotating with Lukaku, allowing Lukaku to use his pace and speed with a little bit more room in behind in a forward-facing position, not so much back to goal where he can really use his strength, speed, physicality in a wider area, and Karsdorp can just sort of throw the defence off by coming in centrally. Another pretty interesting one was when Paredes would drop back into the former back three that way, and Christensen, who came on for Spinazzola, could then move forward from his nominal wide centre-back post and add width and depth to the attack, just to give them a little bit of something different and just to get them second guessing and cause some headaches on how they should handle this kind of a situation. And another one that was interesting was the overload to isolate principle, as they push their numbers all the way to the left this time, which makes sense when you've got that width coming there, push the defence across, and then it leaves obviously Karsdorp in this situation. He can receive freely in a forward-facing posture and just charge at the defence, who are backpedaling, shifting and retreating, and in a 1v1 with the dynamic advantage to wreak havoc. So there was a few little cool things in this game that we picked out from De Rossi's very encouraging performance, and it looks like they're going to be a bit more of a progressive, more positive, more possession-based team under their former hero and icon. And obviously, even though they dropped off in the second half and they could have almost even drawn that game, it was really positive to see with such short time the way that De Rossi got his team cutting a revitalised outfit and playing some really sharp and exciting football. While it's still early days and just one game, it was definitely great to see Roma grabbing a win in such a positive way as they look to really make a push for Champions League qualification under De Rossi. And also it just restored some of the feel-good factor after Mourinho's high-profile departure. All right, that's the end of the analysis. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and leave a comment. Would really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video and have a great day. Stay tuned for the next analysis.